Trying to send video back to the station, try to send back interviews back to the station of what we gathered. That's when we started to hear a lot of commotion. There's a lot of sound that was happening. So like around 4 o'clock is when we started to come here. When things started to get heated, we started to see tear gas being thrown at the protesters. We started to see that they were being targeted. Well, not necessarily targeted, but police was using pellet guns, rubber pellet bullets to try to disperse the crowd. And things really got escalated from that point on. As you can see, there are that's actually a trailer from a developer that got set on fire, in addition to the other 3 cars that were a part of the police department's, I believe it was like investigative or other types, unmarked cars from the police department that got set on fire. We just saw that there were state police finally came like about 2 to 3 hours after things really got heated, started to come from the other side, from the Cornhill neighborhood, started to come this way, started to disperse the crowds, and now they have moved towards the end part of where we're standing, the farther part of where we're standing, and trying to disperse the protesters. There's a couple of people here that are lingering, but all of this quickly escalated. I don't know how things went from a peaceful protest to things getting it to just like what we're seeing behind us right now. Adam?
All right, Josh, my question to you is this. You were saying it started at Jiva, and to give people some perspective, that's over near the South Clinton, the Clinton area, Martin Luther King Jr. Park. We were talking about how it started there. Court Street is where Dinosaur Barbecue begins on the east side. You walk over that, and you're at the Blue Cross Arena. If you were to take a quick left, you're going to be at the Public Safety Building. Josh, where are you now so people have perspective? We're looking at the Sky Eye, and we see smoke rising from what looks to be behind the Blue Cross Arena.
Yeah, we're right across from the Public Safety Building, right next to the 490 overpass, next to the Susan B. Anthony and Frederick Douglass Bridge. We were told by state police to move out of the area. They moved us towards near the river. Then they started to come over here to the parking lot, which is right across from the Public Safety Building, across from the Rochester Police Department, and it started to move towards downtown on the other side of the Blue Cross Arena. You can see that this car right here that got set on fire, the electric pole, the utility pole there, started to catch fire as well. You can also see that the New York State Police chopper has been circling around this entire area for the past 2 hours. Like I mentioned before, within the last 2 hours is when police started to really come in and trying to disperse the crowds. But we're over here by the 490 overpass. Nothing really serious happening on this side, but all the action has been happening right here on the Public Safety Building parking lot, the parking lot across from the building.
Josh,
Adam?
We're looking at smoke behind you right now caused by those vehicle fires and a trailer fire to the right side of your screen, Josh's left. We just saw a view from the sky, our Sky Eye, showing how far up that smoke is going, and you can see that trailer that was set on fire about half an hour ago by my estimation. Now it looks like it is almost completely gone due to that fire. Again, these fires happening just within the past hour or so. When we went on the air for News 8 at 6, looks like the fires are intensifying there close to Exchange Boulevard in downtown Rochester. You can see there the police moving toward our camera right now.
Right, so we're limited by our location. We have been placed in a safe area, we hope, over on Exchange. But up on Main Street, so if you go north from PSB, you see a crowd of police officers, not sure if they're RPD, state police, or another agency there, or a mixture of both. If you go up north from PSB past the Hall of Justice, you're going to hit Main Street. That's the main thoroughfare through the city of Rochester. To be honest with you, we're not sure what's happening there. There could be some activity that we're not aware of right now. Where we are appears to be at least the focal point. What's happening on the periphery, we're not exactly sure. So we'll have to keep in touch with folks who are on the ground outside of this specific area, talk with police, listen to the scanners and all that. But again, we are getting some views from the sky Josh, this is not the live view, but this is from the ground. We're getting views from the sky that's showing at least that the smoke appears to be very centralized. Our meteorologist James Gilbert saying, Josh Navarro, that the wind is coming in at a fairly decent clip right now, around 20 miles per hour. Are you feeling that there? Do you feel the temperature dropping? Because weather, as we know, can influence the scene.
Yeah, that's right, Adam. The temperature has gotten down a little bit, has dropped a little bit from earlier this afternoon. There has been a bit of a wind, a little steady wind happening since the protests and the rallies have started. You can see that the smoke is now, the wind direction has changed, heading towards our area. Like I said, we're standing right near the overpass or the underpass of 490 near the Susan B. Anthony and Frederick Douglass Bridge. Now the smoke is moving towards the Southwich area. If you're getting smoke in that neighborhood, this is where it's coming from these vehicles being set on fire. And you know, when a vehicle is set on fire, you know, the tires burn really burns really intensely. It gives off this really dark smoke if cars are burned. It's very different if it was a building or if a house was burning, but these are actually vehicles that are burning, and the rubber of the tires are being burned. So that's why it's being very heavy smoke that is moving towards us. State police have been trying to disperse the crowds using tear gas, trying to move them. They're being moved towards a little bit more towards downtown Rochester, where, like I said, near 490. I'm not sure if there's other commotions happening as protesters, as these people are being dispersed through downtown Rochester. There was supposed to be another rally set for a Liberty Pole at 4 o'clock, but it didn't seem like it was happening since everyone was pretty much concentrated right in front of the public safety building. There's a bit of a explosion or firework type action happening around where these vehicles are being set on fire. Adam, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Josh, thank you. As Josh noted, there might be other activity around the area. And on that note, I just saw a tweet from Dave Seeley. He's a supervisor up in Irondequoit, a suburb that links to the northern part of Rochester. And he just tweeted this: per IPD, Irondequoit Police Department, the chief there, reports of looting businesses on East Ridge Road. Please stay at home at this time. So it appears that there is some activity outside of peaceful protests, peaceful demonstrations outside of this area. We are now seeing the Rochester Fire Department arrive. We have several vehicles on fire, a utility pole on fire. The 20-mile-per-hour winds coming in, probably not helping that situation. Smoke seen throughout the area. We took that shot of the live sky eye, and we saw the smoke coming in right around the Blue Cross Arena. Activity again, unrest again outside of this area, at least up in Irondequoit, perhaps up on Main Street. I'm getting some anecdotal stories coming in, people telling me that there is some damage, some destruction up on the Main Street area. That's where you get into more of the stores. Where you are now, if you go south of the Freddie Sue Bridge, yes, then you get into the Cornhill area and you have some restaurants, some stores. But north of there, you're really looking at law offices, you're looking at the Public Safety Building, the Hall of Justice, where the jail is on the other side, on the Plymouth side, and the Blue Cross Arena. So you're not seeing a lot of stores that can be looted in this area. That you see there, that's a parking lot. So anyone who's gone to a Blue Cross Arena, let's say an Amerks game, you might have gone into a parking garage, or you can park there, a very popular spot, and there is some burning going on in that area. You're seeing police in their full riot gear out with batons standing, holding the line there around the PSB, directing traffic. Unclear whether the demonstrators we saw just to the north of there, I'd say about 15 minutes ago, they were there with their signs, some of them actually talking with police. Atia had noted that there have been some sounds of popping, whether that was from the cars that were already on fire or from new hotspots. We're not sure. Josh Navarro, it seems like that area, which at one point earlier today was the home of hundreds of people, it might have topped 1,000, that crowd. Right now, I'm not seeing many protesters at all. What are you seeing? Josh, can you hear me at this point? All right, for some reason, we're not getting any sound from Josh. Josh, it sounds like you can hear me. It looks like you and Natia are being moved up past the PSB right now. The line has shifted northward. If you do have sound, can you tell us what you're seeing at this point?
Yeah, so this is what's happening, Adam. This is the first time we've seen that the Monroe County Sheriff's Office has come out in to help with deterring these protesters, and it appears that they're going to create a perimeter for the fire department to be able to knock out these fires, these vehicles, and that trailer from that developer that was set on fire by protesters from earlier this afternoon. They just want to make sure that nobody interferes with while they're trying to knock out the fire. You can see that they have their entire SWAT riot protest gear on from law enforcement. They have their shield, they have their batons on there, ready for whatever they may encounter. There's not that many people on this side of the public safety building. Everybody was dispersed over towards downtown Rochester by state police that came here about an hour or so. But again, this is they're setting a perimeter up to try to knock out this fire. Hopefully that will help with reducing the amount of smoke that is billowing from the fire. Adam, I'll send it back to you.
So Josh describing a scene there where police are creating a perimeter so the fire department can get in. That begs the question whether the blocked streets or some other obstacle prevented the fire department from getting in earlier, but it does appear that they are there now, so the fire can be at least knocked down to a point where it doesn't spread to other vehicles or other infrastructure. We saw the utility pole go up just a few minutes ago. I did get word from someone who knows that area very well, telling me that the Villa store up near Liberty Pole, so that is the Main Street area. You might have heard that Josh said that the Black Lives Matter group was hoping to hold another rally up at the Liberty Pole. That doesn't appear to be happening, but again, there was some unrest, perhaps some damage over at the Villa store. Again, this person, just one person, we have to wait for official sound, but that does go to show that this has spread beyond this specific area that we're looking at here. If you're just joining us, this is right around the public safety building, right near Exchange and Court. So if you've been to Blue Cross Arena, it's right at that intersection there near the Hall of Justice, right near those stairs that you see going up. If you're walking to the west, you see those stairs going up into the Hall of Justice. This is a much quieter scene, to be honest with you, than just 45 minutes ago when I got onto the desk. By the way, Jack Watson did an admirable job. He was up here anchoring. He has now been sent out into the field. He'll be joining our crews out there to see perhaps what's happening outside of this focal point right now. You can see the trees, by the way, the wind whipping. That can't be helping the fire. It might be helping this whole situation. The temperatures are dropping. We saw that rain earlier. We're going to check in with Chief Meteorologist, or our meteorologist, James Gilbert, in just a bit to see what the weather holds, whether this is going to influence what we're seeing on the ground right now. The Monroe County Sheriff's Department, state police, they are all involved. A helicopter was up in the air before. Josh, are you still seeing the helicopter? In addition to that, if you look north, we're looking at that line where the fire department is putting out those car fires. If you look to the north, are you seeing any part of the demonstration, any sections still gathering, or have they all moved to different areas from what you can see?
Well, Adam, this is Natia Collins back taking over for Josh. Your question as far as what are we seeing as with the protesters? I did see the protesters going down. I believe it was Court Street here off of Exchange Street. We saw them. We heard them chanting. We saw the loud group moving. No word about where they have went or if they are still out there protesting. And then, of course, we do have these officers here that are trying to allow these fire trucks to get in here. We have seen some firemen setting up here, getting the hoses ready, and we believe they're going to be hopefully putting out these flames here shortly.
Very good, Atia, thank you. And someone that I follow on Twitter, she's an English teacher in the area. She just told me that she stopped at the Target in Henrietta and employees were standing outside. They're closing the store early, sending personnel home. Not exactly sure why. Again, we've heard of some activity up in the Irondequoit area, looting, according to the supervisor there, Dave Seeley. So we'll have to keep an eye on what's happening not just in downtown Rochester, but in greater Rochester. That includes the suburbs that are connected to the city right now. We are going to check in with James Gilbert at some point to look at the weather. The smoke in this area is notable. As I said just a few minutes ago, you look at the sky eye, you can see that smoke billowing up just above the Frederick Douglass Susan B. Anthony Bridge. It does appear that there are some bystanders, some folks on the corner. Outside of that, it is very clear to me that law enforcement has gained control of this area. For those who didn't know, there was a demonstration, a Black Lives Matter demonstration that was rather peaceful that started right around 1 o'clock over in the Martin Luther King Jr. Park, right near Jiva Theater, the Clinton area. They then marched across the river, not sure whether it was Court or Broad Street. Either way, they ended up just outside of the Public Safety Building where it remained peaceful. There was a representative from the Rochester Police Accountability Board who gave a talk. We saw Congressman Joe Morelli in the crowd. We had County Executive Adam Bello in the crowd. Something happened within the last 2 to 3 hours that shifted the momentum of this demonstration, and it became more of what we've seen in places like Atlanta, near the CNN building, some of the freeways in LA, and many hotspots around Minneapolis. We're not sure whether this is an isolated incident. For all we know, there could be very small instances of looting, and this could be over. We have no idea, or this could be expanding. The weather will play a role in this, and that's why I want to toss things over to my friend, meteorologist James Gilbert. James, we saw that rain earlier today. Is there any coming into our area to back that up?
No rain showers as of right now over the next few hours. So what you're looking at is you're looking at the live shot of the smoke. Let's talk about wind here for a second. Northwest, that's consistent at 21 miles per hour, gusting to near 30 miles per hour. So when we're talking wind, it's always where the wind is coming from, where it's coming out of. So it's coming out of the northwest. That means any smoke is going to blow towards the southeast. So you may even see this smoke further southeast, possibly even closer to Brighton in that direction as you think of where the smoke travels. So I'm thinking off the top of my head, probably Park Ave area is kind of to the southeast of that region. Once you get Monroe Ave, Cobbs Hill, those are the areas where you might even be able to see this smoke. As far as spreading, just from an objective standpoint, it looks like it's a, I don't know if there's any other areas that could catch fire from that standpoint. Temperature-wise, it's on the cold side. We're in the mid-50s, and this is a far cry from the long stretch of 80s that we were having all week long. So I think we continue to deal with the wind. You can see this live shot from Pinnacle Hill. You have those trees moving in the background along with that smoke. Forecast tonight, it is getting on the colder side. We haven't seen mid-40s in about a week and a half. So if people are outside, it's going to get almost near jacket-worthy weather tonight. And quickly tomorrow, temperatures climbing into the mid-60s, clouds to sun. So this is, again, well cooler than we were yesterday. So if anybody is outside tomorrow, it's going to be on the cooler side. Adam, back to you.
James, thank you. So James talking about cooling. I'm going to talk about the hotspots right now. What are we looking at as far as we know? This is the main focus. This is Exchange Court Street, right near the Public Safety Building, near the Blue Cross Arena. This was packed with people just a few hours ago. This appears to be where some of the unrest, the damage started. Several cars on fire. You can see some flames, but mainly smoke at this point, as Rochester firefighters were able to get in there and put out some of those flames at this point. Now we're getting reports of some looting over on East Main Street. I'm hoping that's where our reporter anchor Jack Watson is heading right now, near that store, the Villa, right near the Liberty Pole. Not sure how extensive the damage is in that area. Also, Irondequoit. I had mentioned earlier that the supervisor there had tweeted out saying that there had been some activity, some looting up in the East Ridge Road area. Well, now that supervisor, Dave Seeley, through the Irondequoit Police Department, is saying this: if you are a business owner on East Ridge Road in Irondequoit, for your own safety, please close immediately. I want to repeat that again. This is in Irondequoit. The supervisor saying, if you are a business owner on East Ridge Road in Irondequoit, for your own safety, please close immediately. So enough activity up there to warrant, excuse me, that type of statement. All of this coming after hours of peaceful protests, those pushing for social justice reform. They wanted their voices heard after what we saw in Minneapolis with the death of George Floyd. We have had our own conversation, of course, here in Rochester, leading up to the Police Accountability Board vote that we saw in November, in which citizens overwhelmingly decided that they wanted to allow a citizen review board to discipline officers that they decide have broken some type of code or policy. As you might remember, a judge recently decided that that actually fell outside of the law, partly because of city charter and the state law. In addition, the contract that the police department has with the city of Rochester. So for 3 or 4 separate reasons, the judge said that the Police Accountability Board could not discipline officers. That upset a lot of people, especially those on the city council who pushed for this referendum. The mayor was put in an interesting position because she initially cast doubt on whether that type of discipline outside of the police chief and the mayor was legal. She said, let's see what happens in court. The court decided. We're going to have to see what happens with the PAB moving forward. As for Mayor Warren, I am still waiting to hear if she's issued any statements or where she might be for a news conference later in the day, along with Police Chief LaRon Singletary. We are waiting to hear from them. It's very possible they've already issued a statement, and I just haven't been able to check my email at this point. Dave Seeley up in Irondequoit, the supervisor, has been just issuing warnings at this point. In addition, I'd like to know if there's been a state of emergency, because that allows for different resources to be sent in from the state. You see the Rochester Fire Department dousing that structure. It's hard to tell whether it's a vehicle. I think it is what's left of a vehicle, with water right now. The scene in the area where we find Josh Navarro and Atia Collins, again, it appears to have died down quite a bit. I'm not sure whether Atia or Josh has the microphone at this point, but either one of you, what are you seeing at this point right there at Exchange and Court? All right, working on the audio right there, trying to get them when we do hear from them.
In the parking lot.
Sorry, go ahead, Atia.
I apologize for that. I think we're having a little miscommunication, but if you can hear me, just like you were saying, Adam, it does look like police have gotten control of this parking lot here. They have set up a perimeter, keeping some of the protesters out. We have not seen anybody go into the parking lot that has not been police or fire personnel. And like you said, they have gotten some of these fires under control. Actually, there's no flames left. Most of the smoke has been cleared out. So it seems like things are getting cleared up here in front of the Public Safety Building on Exchange Street, and it does seem like police have control, at least here on Exchange Street, Adam.
Atia, thank you so much. Atia Collins and Josh Navarro reporting from that scene. Atia throughout the entire day, so we thank you so much for that. She was there when the transition happened between the peaceful protests and what we're seeing now. I can only imagine that some of the people in those first pockets of protests are disappointed by what they're seeing now, because they were the ones who earlier on in the day were asking people to remain peaceful and not to resort to this. But here we are. The police from Rochester, from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, State Police, they are all on hand, at least in this area. We're going to be sending crews all over the greater Rochester area, Irondequoit, Main Street, to see what's happening there. On that note, we want to basically collect ourselves. We want to look at our email, see what's going on, see if there's going to be any news conferences going on with some of our city and county leaders. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we hope to have more information, and we'll take another look at that scene. Stay with us.
People always wonder about the story.
If we can pull it off, great.
Full support of this community.
Things in your life
you've never lost.
Voice on the bench extension.
2 shows, wrist, thriving.
Love it.
So.
Tanya, come here. At Boys and Girls Clubs, it's not just about trying new things.
Kitchen in my hometown.
It's not about learning the right steps.
4
or making contact.
5 6 7 8.
It's not about exploring the future. It's about helping them build it. It's about taking steps to greatness. About making a connection. It's about proving every kid and teen has what it takes. It's about people in our clubs who bring out the greatness in every kid who enters our doors. It's not just about being on stage. It's about walking across it. Great futures start here, and here, and here.
How's quarantine?
Come on, we have schoolwork to finish.
I don't know how teachers do it with a classroom. We've only got 2 kids, and it ain't easy. After this was over, every time a teacher says we need a thing, I'm like, yes, vote it, give it to them. Teachers should get free cable. Every teacher should get a free butler. Thank you, teachers, for what you do. Just thank you.
You're watching News 8.
Welcome back. We're tracking the unrest in the city of Rochester right now following what was a peaceful demonstration that started at 1 p.m. today. All of this happening in downtown Rochester, and now it appears to be spreading into other areas like Irondequoit. I had mentioned a few minutes ago that we took a break because we wanted to look at email, see if there had been any announcements. I'm glad we did, because there have been announcements. Starting at 9 p.m., Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren has announced that a curfew will begin. So right at 9 p.m., a curfew. Everybody in the city of Rochester, as far as I can assume, is going to have to be indoors. Not sure if that is for the entire city or for downtown Rochester. We hope to find out more at a news conference that was just announced. And now we'll be starting in just over 15 minutes, 7:45. It will include Mayor Warren and the Rochester Police Chief, LaRon Singletary. You are seeing video right now of Exchange and Court. So you're looking right around the Public Safety Building, the Blue Cross Arena, the Hall of Justice. I'm naming these off in case you know exactly where this is, trying to get you to hone in on where this activity is taking place. Not an hour ago, we still saw protesters in this spot, some of them talking to police, some of them running from police or towards other scenes. The Rochester Fire Department on scene as well, putting out vehicle fires. A utility pole had caught fire as well. They were able to gain access once the police were able to secure the perimeter. It appears that that has happened. We've gotten word from both Tia Collins and Josh Navarro that this is rather quiet compared to what we're seeing. This is just north of the Frederick Douglass Susan B. Anthony Bridge. Whether we're seeing any other hot spots pop up, we're not exactly sure. We're getting word at this point that it's possible over near the Villa store, near the Liberty Pole. Perhaps some looting there. That's where another demonstration had been planned for later in the afternoon. It doesn't appear that that happened or is going to happen given the tumult that we're seeing now. That said, up in Irondequoit, the supervisor there, Dave Seeley, is asking businesses right along the East Ridge Road area to close because they have experienced looting up to that point. We are going to toss back out to the scene right now. Our reporters are providing team coverage of this. Again, it appears to be a lot quieter than it was. Atia Collins, is that the case, or are you seeing? I'm going to depend on your eyes here. You're looking north to Main Street right now. What are you seeing?
Well, Adam, it does seem to be a lot quieter, like you're saying. There's actually not many people at all here. A lot of the crowd that was here when I got on scene is now completely gone. What's left is maybe some bystanders and, of course, the news crews that are here on scene and the officers. But it has gotten much quieter here in front of the public safety building. You can see behind me, officers have completely taken control of this parking lot here. It looks like they have their perimeter set up, and they're not letting anybody pass. They're not letting anybody in front of the public safety building anymore. As far as where those protesters might have went, like I told you earlier, it did look like they were maybe heading downtown. Maybe that's the group that's now heading towards the Liberty Pole. But here in this area in front of the public safety building, it does seem like officers have gotten things under control. Adam.
We're going to let Atia and Josh go because of that news conference that is set to start in about 15 minutes with the mayor and the police chief. A lot of questions about what exactly is happening outside of this area, what's being done to stop it. As a reflection, this all started earlier on in the week. George Lloyd, he was the African-American man who died in police custody. It was caught on camera in Minneapolis. The anger started there and then spread out, and it was really over the course of the last 24, 48 hours that we started to see more than just vocal unrest, but rather some physical damage, destruction, and even violence in certain areas. And last night we had our eyes on Atlanta, we had our eyes on Minneapolis, New York City, more than 200 people arrested there, LA. There was nothing planned last night. In fact, we had inclement weather that might have played a factor into why we didn't see anything, but we knew that the Black Lives Matter group had scheduled a 1 o'clock demonstration over in the Martin Luther King Jr. Park, right near Jiva Theater, the Clinton. And this was video from earlier today. Yes, there was a lot of emotion, but those speaking made it clear to those marching that they wanted nothing like what we've seen in Minneapolis or Atlanta or New York City or LA. And most of the people in the crowd, a mixture of race, ethnicity, abided. I was able to drive around the city, and the police officers you just saw there, they had blocked off a good portion of the city. It was hard to get past Union Street if you wanted to, past the Museum of Play, to get west into where these folks were marching, over Broad Street, Court Street, right near the Dinosaur Barbecue restaurant there.